Hello and welcome to Everything You Need to Know Before NPF 2015. Bob and Kim are waiting here in the wings with a great presentation. Both of them have had their coffee and are quite caffeinated and excited to talk about one of their favorite subjects in the entire world, going to NPF. But before we get started, let me knock out just a couple of very quick housekeeping items. First off, if you're into the whole social media thing, and most of us are these days, you can connect with Satori Software on Twitter, LinkedIn, and on Facebook. We're easy to find. Next, this webinar is being recorded, and if you'd like to listen to the recording or pass it along to someone else who couldn't attend, you can find it on satorisoftware.com a little later on this afternoon. Next, very important here because we like to play Stump Bob and Kim. There will be or is a question box on the right-hand side of your screen. Feel free to overload that with questions, and then I will be sitting here juggling those questions and trying to feed them out to Bob and Kim. We will get to questions at the end of the presentation. We want to give them an opportunity to get through their slide deck. So Stump Bob and Kim, that is definitely the game for today. So fill out those questions. Finally, this webinar is scheduled to last around 60 minutes. And, well, you guys know Bob and Kim once they get talking, and we're probably going to go right up to that 60-minute mark. In the event that we get a lot of good questions or these guys get to talking and we spill over and you have to drop off, again, that recording will be available up on the satorisoftware.com site. So if you need to drop off, feel free to come back in. Otherwise, stick with us if in the event we spill over. And Bob is nodding his head, so I suspect he's got plenty to say today. So let's go ahead and get started with our webinar. Speaking today, we have Bob Schimek. He is the Senior Director of Postal Affairs for Satori Software. Hello, Bob.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Welcome back to the studio.
Thank you.
Got your boots up on my broadcast console again. You're all settled in and comfortable.
Ready to go.
Perfect. We've also got Kim Mauch, and Kim is a senior product manager, and we see her in the studio periodically as well. Hello, Kim.
Good morning.
It's kind of fun. We've got both of our big gun postal experts in here for NPF.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good time.
I'm really excited about this. It's, you guys get to go. I don't get to go this year, but I will be back here holding down the fort and taking your call-ins. We're going to be doing call-ins for our Postal Affairs program as well as from the floor of NPF. So I'm pleased to announce that we're taking the next big step in live broadcasting. Who knew mailing would be so darned exciting? All right, let's go ahead and I'm Rob Perrin. I'm the Director of Multimedia Merchandising for Satori Software. I'll be your host today, and I'll be the guy fielding the questions. So once again, go ahead and fill those out in the questions box there. Next up, we've got the agenda. Kim, did you want to take care of this?
Sure. Yeah, so we have a lot to cover today. NPF is one of the biggest events that we have at Satori and for the mailing industry at large. So we'll talk a little bit about what NPF is for those of you who haven't been before, why you would want to attend, and what you can expect to see there. There are a lot of educational sessions, so we'll highlight a few key items there, and that way you'll be able to make sure you get the most out of your attendance there at NPF. We'll talk about the exhibit hall and all of the extra general sessions that are going to be available there. We'll talk a little bit about the MTAC 50th anniversary celebration. We're really happy that MTAC is celebrating their golden anniversary this year.
And Bob's been a member that whole time, hasn't he?
I have not.
And of course, we'll have a time for questions at the end there. So feel free to type those in as we go. So let's talk a little bit about what NPF is. NPF is the National Postal Forum. It is the largest industry event for the mailing space that we can attend, and historically had been sponsored specifically by the USPS. And so we have a lot of attendance from higher ups at the post office, all of the industry experts across software and services, and all of the different things that you would possibly need to make your whole process better as a company if you're in the mailing space. So there's a lot of really good information that you can gather there, really important people that you can talk to help optimize your processes, and you can have a lot of fun along the way. There's a lot of networking opportunities. You can learn from your peers, and it's a really good growing experience there. Now, with all of that experience comes a really jam-packed schedule. So you can see here, this is just the first 2 days of NPF. And Sunday traditionally is listed as a pre-NPF day, which is, I don't know if they can classify it as a pre-day anymore. It's really, Sunday is your education day. This is the day where you're going to have the beginning workshops. You're going to have some ability to contact with your local areas and give feedback there. There's some input into the PCC events there, and it's a really good way to kind of settle into NPF, get your brain going for the week, and really get some good information there. And then Monday is when we really start pushing the gas on this whole production, and we start getting the general session. We'll start off with the Postmaster General. The exhibit hall will be open, and of course those workshops are going to be running throughout the day. So there's some peer-to-peer roundtables, lots of opportunities for networking, and there's just a lot of activity that's going to happen on Monday. Sunday is kind of getting your feet wet and kind of getting yourself grounded, and then Monday we just hit the ground running. And then into Tuesday, we start getting really into a little bit more nitty gritty. We start going into some technology updates from the USPS, a lot more workshops, a lot more exhibit hall. And then, of course, we have the fun exhibitors reception on Tuesday night. So that's always a good time. There's always some fun that happens there. And then Wednesday, things start to wind down a little bit. There's still quite a few workshops that are available. And then, of course, there's that closing event that everyone goes to where you can kind of relax and let your brain have a break after all the information that you've gathered that whole time. So we talked a little bit about those workshops, and the educational sessions this year are broken out into 4 main categories. So we've got mail operations. This is things like making sure that your mail preparation is correct, that your addressing is correct, and that everything is going to a way that's going to be very easily enterable at the post office, and it's also going to be really efficient for you as a mailer to get your mail prepared there. There's an entire track for management and professional development. NPF isn't just about mail, it's also about the kind of the periphery of that. So making sure that your mail center is being run efficiently, and how do you become a leader and not a manager, things like that. So there's a lot of professional development where even if you know the DMM backwards and forwards, there's some other ways that you can develop your soft skills. So then, of course, there's a track for marketing. Marketing, of course, is a really important area of the mail stream. And so any way that you can optimize the mail that's going out and tie it into maybe your social media and things like that. So there's a whole track that's available for marketing. And then this year they've added a specialized track. And this is kind of the catch-all for all the topics that didn't fit exactly into the first 3, but there's some really interesting topics that are going to be covered in that specialized track as well. Along with all the educational sessions, there are going to be some focus areas as well. And when you start attending these focus areas, you can actually apply for educational certifications. So the first one that's going to be available is the Executive Mail Center Manager certification. This is if you are a mail center manager, you either have been established or maybe you're just getting your foot in the door and you want to make sure that your processes are up to date and they're compatible with your competitors. You can go in and get that certification. You basically attend several different sessions throughout the entire course of NPF, and at the end you can take the test. It's about $170, and if you pass, then you get that certification for EMCM. Another one that they're going to have at NPF this year is the Mailpiece Design Professional. So this is making sure that your mailpiece layout is correct. If you're doing a folded self-mailer, that you're adhering to all those new fun folded self-mailer rules and regulations. And so you can attend, there's an all-day class that you'll be able to attend, and at the end you can take a test and get that certification as well. And then in general, we have some training certificates that are from the post office. And depending on the number of workshops, you can pick any workshop that you like throughout the entirety of NPF. And if you attend a certain number, then you'll be able to get a training certificate based on the number of workshops that you attend. And the interesting thing is those platinum certifications. If you attend 17 workshops, then you actually get your certificate signed by the Postmaster General. So it's a kind of a neat little thing. I have one of these up on my wall. It's kind of neat to know that you've gone through and survived the craziness of NPF.
Why does it not surprise me that you would have platinum certification? Either one of you, that just doesn't surprise me. Bob's got the entire DMM printed out in his office, and he refers to it on a regular, and you have it memorized, so that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, so it's if you want to get a little bit more of that knowledge in by attending these workshops, you just scan your badge at each workshop station, and if you receive at least 8 of them, then you can get a certificate. So then let's talk a little bit about some of the individual sessions that we'd like to highlight today. The first one is going to be bright and early on Sunday. This is actually session 2, so there's going to be some workshops that are actually before this one. And so if you are interested in taking your address quality to the next level, making sure that all of the addresses that you're mailing to are correct and current, but outside just the bounds of what's in USPS regulations, this will also help you to augment and to segment your mail and really make it as high impact as possible. And Corey Bragg, our Director of Product Management, is going to be presenting this session, and it's really engaging. It's really an interesting session. So,
did you just refer to 10:15 as bright and early?
For a Sunday, that's pretty early.
I want to keep your hours, Kim.
And unfortunately, at the same time, you're going to have to pick, but there's going to be another session on Sunday, period 2, about from zero to EDOC in plain English and understanding mailer quality reports. I'm going to be co-presenting with Angela Dyer from the USPS. She's going to be walking you through the mailer quality reports, how to access them, what the information is, and how to drill into that key information to make sure that everything is correct. And I'll be walking through the beginning of that, kind of how you get your EDOC set up, which option you choose, and how to get started into full service.
And that's bright and early Sunday morning at 10:15 as well.
That's going to be bright and early.
Are you sure you can be up for that?
My flight's getting in a little bit late, but we'll make sure I have plenty of coffee to get me through that session.
And I know that's a subject you're passionate about. We've actually done webinars with you talking about this very same subject.
Yeah, full service is the wave of the future. So if you're not using EDOC today, you
will be.
You will be eventually. So it's better to be prepared. And so that's the whole idea behind this presentation, is making sure that you're prepared and ready to go, and that way when full service and those lovely invoices start coming in, that you'll be ready and you won't be hit by any unnecessary fees.
So, all right, after attending that session, then a little bit later in the day, I don't get the early ones, so.
I don't know, 2:45 in the afternoon is pretty early for you, Bob.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, a little bit later in the day, then there'll be another one that I will be doing called An Industry Perspective on Full Service, E-Induction, and Seamless Acceptance. And so these are 3 major initiatives that the Postal Service has going on. Kim's session will provide a very nice foundation to start with, and then this kind of builds on it to, there's been a lot of discussion with where the Postal Service is ultimately going with these programs. What's it going to mean for mailers? And so, I'm really looking for this to be, as it's noted, an industry perspective. I want to talk about it, and I'm really looking for getting a lot of participation from the audience for those that are actively involved in those, bringing them out and having the opportunity for us as an industry to talk about these programs and what it really means for mailers.
And you guys glossed right over this, but let's be very clear. The 3 of you who are presenting, Bob and Kim and Corey, you're more than Satori employees. All 3 of you have, in Bob's case, decades worth of experience. Kim, I know you're much younger than Bob, and Corey, but all 3 of you have significant experience in the industry. You sit on various industry panels. You are involved directly with the Postal Service. So this is not a Satori-oriented thing. This is an industry-oriented thing. You guys have that credibility. You have that backing.
Yeah, all of the educational sessions are going to be very educational focused. This is not a sales pitch. This is not something where you're going to be you're going to have Satori plastered all over the slides or anything like that. All of the workshops across all of the periods there in NPF are going to be very educational focused, and so and of course ours are included in that.
And now, as a marketing guy, that's horrific to me. Maybe we can get a little Satori pin on your lapel or something.
I think that's about as far as they want us to go. Yep.
All right. So then there's another session that I will be doing a little bit later in the show. As you can see, it's not until Tuesday, but I'm also doing one on new opportunities in drop shipping. And so this is going to be focused around some of the changes associated with the price change that's going into effect on May 31st. So the timing of the forum is actually works very well for that. And so we're going to be talking about some rather significant changes that have occurred around FSS preparation. There's a new facility type that the Postal Service has recently rolled out, referred to as hubs. We'll be talking about that. Also, with the price change, there's some additional incentives that they've created for certain types of containers to be built and then drop shipped. And so this is going to be kind of talking about all of those and where there might be some additional opportunities for mailers to gain a little bit more work share discount. So now switching gears and talking a little bit, Kim already mentioned a little bit about the general sessions that are taking place. And we're going to spend a little bit of time here just kind of walking through these in a little bit more detail, giving a little bit more context. So as Kim noted, bright and early on Sunday morning, I believe it starts at 9 a.m., is the National Area Focus Group. And it's a very large meeting, but one of the overall goals for this is for you to meet a number of Postal Service leadership will be attending that. But the goal here is to really kind of plug you into each one of the regional areas across the United States that meet on a regular basis to share information. And so if you are not participating in area focus group meetings, the goal would be to find out more about them, find out where the nearest ones are to you based on where you are located, and what you would need to do to potentially start plugging into those, because there are, roughly maybe once a quarter or so meetings that there's an opportunity to get a lot of good information from those. From there, a little bit later in the day, then, is the Postal Customer Council opening session. And this one is also going to be another good one in that one of the things that they're highlighting with this opening session is they're going to have Preetha Mehra there. And she's going to be talking about some of the changes that they have coming with their mail piece design analysts. If we look over the last couple of years, there's been a number of changes that have been made to the whole MDA program. I would argue that not all of them were good.
That sounded suspiciously like an editorial there, Bob.
Just a little bit,
okay.
but there was some rather significant changes that were made a while ago that I think the industry felt that it made it more difficult for you to be able to access your local MDA, and if you had a person that you worked with very closely, it got harder to be able to contact those persons because they kind of centralized the whole process. So supposedly there's some new information coming out on that, and so I will definitely be attending this, and I'll be curious to find out what's going on with that program. It sounds like there's some interesting stuff going on there. Then as we look into Monday morning, as Kim noted, this is the opening session. This is kind of the big event. This is where the whole show gets kicked off. The Postmaster General will be doing the keynote, and as we all know, this will be Megan's very first NPF as Postmaster General. So this is going to be a great opportunity for her to kind of share with the industry what her vision is and where she's looking to take the Postal Service. So I think this could be a very interesting and informative one.
And historic event, the first female Postmaster General. On top of that, she's kind of shaking things up. There's been some significant staff changes. There's hopes and dreams for the future, as you and I have discussed on our postal affairs programs on Monday mornings. That one's probably worth definitely catching. I bet that's crowded.
Yes, exactly. It generally is, and yeah, I would say even more so this time, because also, along with Megan being the keynote, they're also going to be bringing in a number of her executives. And as you noted, there's been several changes recently in her executive staff. And so Jim Cochran has stepped in as the new acting sales and marketing executive. And then, he moved from the CIO position. And so now Randy Muskanek is taking over that CIO position. So both of them will likely be talking at this opening session as well, I would suspect.
And as you and I have discussed, this is more than just shuffling deck chairs here. These changes have some far-reaching repercussions for the things these folks believe in and that they bring to these new offices. So it's going to be an exciting year in Postal.
It is, yes. I would completely agree. All right, so now moving on to Tuesday's general session. The Postal Service has labeled the Tuesday general session as Technology Tuesday. And so this is where we're going to be getting a bunch more information, I would suspect, about e-induction, seamless, where they're going with full service. I'm suspecting they'll be talking about their new informed visibility and the future of that platform and where they're looking to go with it. So also one thing to add there, you might catch a little video during Technology Tuesday with someone you might recognize. We had a crew come out and do a little recording.
Did they end up using that footage?
I guess they did, yes.
Just not shy anymore, are you, Bob?
I'm working on it. So that's going on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, there really isn't a morning event on Wednesday. What ends up happening now is at lunchtime, there's a partner recognition luncheon, and that's kind of the big get-together there, and that runs from like noon until 2 p.m. And so that's kind of the big Wednesday event, and there's a lot of different recognition of people in industry doing innovative things, all kinds of stuff going on there.
All right. So when you need a break from all of the educational sessions and the general sessions, we recommend coming down into the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall, of course, is the place where you can go and check in with your software vendors and your service providers and kind of see what the new technologies are out that are out in the market today. We're going to have a pretty busy booth going on. You can see the schedule here. We're going to be there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That Tuesday evening event is going to be that exhibitor hall reception. And there's going to be a lot of activity there. I really enjoy walking the floor of the exhibit hall, checking out all the different booths and see what new technology is being out for display. There's something really comforting about the sound of the sorters and the printers that they always have on sale. You always hear that. It's very comforting.
So whereas most of us fall asleep to the sound of waves or wind or something like that coming out of our sound generator, she has postal machines that run in the background of her bedroom. That's a little insight into Kim's personal life.
Yeah, it's a good time. I really enjoy walking the floor. You can talk to your current providers. You can talk to new companies and see what they have. And of course, they always have some interesting things going on in the different booths. Sometimes you can pick up an extra pen or something like that along the way, and get your legs stretched out after sitting in the workshops all day. So there'll be plenty of opportunity to check us out in the exhibit hall.
So one thing to point out on Monday too is it's a general practice that the Postmaster General, after she does the opening session on Monday morning, usually ends up coming and doing a walk through the exhibit hall. And so for those that may be looking to meet her, that could be a good opportunity to.
You are only saying that because it will give you a break from the autograph hounds.
Yeah, right. I don't think I will have to worry about that.
All right, so there are a couple things that we're going to be doing as well. Would definitely encourage you to come see Satori in the exhibit hall at NPF. We're going to be in booth 201. It's going to be right as you come in the main doors. So if you go in the doors that are on the right, you'll see us right there in and you'll recognize our lovely orange booth there. And we're going to have several things that are going to be going on in our booth. First of all, we're going to have some live informational sessions right there in the expo floor, and those are going to be, are you prepared for monthly postage assessments? If you've been following the whole mailer scorecard saga, then you can come and get a little bit more information about those postage assessments and what you can do to avoid them at all cost. We've also got another session called slow mail delivery tools to help. And I know a lot of you may have seen that the latest service standard publication was not really pushed out with a lot of fanfare, but the results are a little bit scary. The mail delivery recently has not been what it has been in the past, and some of that has to do with the operations changes that they've had. So we'll give you a couple tools that you can use to get a little better handle on how your mail delivery is happening, and maybe be a little bit more proactive about adapting to those changes. Also, we're going to have plenty of account managers and technology experts on hand there. We've got a fully staffed booth, and we've got a conference room that'll be available. So if you need to have a conversation that's a little bit off the show floor, we can definitely step aside and talk you through any issues that you have, any suggestions, and also talk to you about new opportunities to help your business there. We'll have demonstrations of all of our technology and services available as well. And you can also enter to win. We've got a couple giveaways that we're going to be having there, some drawings there for, we've got a couple Kindle Paperwhites that we'll be handing out. So if you want to read your DMM in the privacy of your own home, you can read that on a Kindle Paperwhite. I remember.
I can't believe you went there. Mm-hmm. Is it available in a Kindle edition?
It's all on the web, so you can access that on the Kindle. Yeah.
Amazing. I know what I'm getting Bob for Christmas. Awesome.
And we also have a few Bose noise-canceling headphones. So for that long flight back home, if you want to drown out the sound of your airplane, we've got some noise-canceling headphones that we'll be drawing for.
I tried to walk off with a set of those headphones. I have to tell you, they're really wonderful.
Those are fabulous.
They're light on your ears, incredible sound in them, and they work really well. They almost completely drown out the person in the office next to me. Not saying any names.
All right. So let's see. There are a couple other events that are going to be happening in the exhibit hall. Bob, do you want to cover those?
Sure. Yes. So shortly after the general session gets done on Monday, we're going to be doing kind of a postal expert panel in the gray hair booth, and I've been asked to participate in. We did one similar to this at the last NPF, and it went over really well. It's moderated by Jessica Lawrence. She's from Postcom, and it's kind of just talking about the hot topics going on in the industry, what our thoughts and perspectives are, free-form discussion. Anyone's welcome to stop by and ask questions if they have any. And so that's a fun little session that we'll end up doing right in the exhibit hall. As Kim also noted, on Tuesday, one of the bigger items going on is the exhibitors are having a reception from 5 to 6:30. What you will find is there's likely going to be a lot of things going on in the exhibit hall during that time frame, and a lot of activity. So please set time aside to come down and join us and have a talk and possibly a drink with us. So that will be going on. And then also in the exhibit hall, there is a Deliver Solution Theater that's going on actually throughout the show. That it's going to be on a little bit different format than the big sessions that you'll be attending outside of the exhibit hall. But every half hour or so, they're going to have different topics going on in the Deliver Solutions Theater. They're going to run from 20 to 30 minutes, and I will be doing one on Wednesday from 10 to 10:30, and the focus of that is going to be on all the changes that were taking place with around FSS preparation, the pricing, the incentives, and then also looking ahead to some additional changes that the Postal Service is looking at making to FSS in 2016. And so there's a activity going on around that right now, and I can give a little bit of insight into some of those details and where we might be headed as an industry when it comes to FSS prep. All right, so now switching gears a little bit and talk a little bit about MTAC. MTAC stands for Mailers Technical Advisory Committee, and we are the Postmaster General's Mailers Technical Advisory Committee. So MTAC serves the Postmaster General, and this is something that MTAC has now been around for 50 years. This all started, a little bit of history lesson here. This all started back in February 26th of 1962 when John F. Kennedy passed a set of rules and regulations, or signed into a set of rules and regulations around the formation and use of advisory committees.
Did you consult with the president on that, Bob?
I did not even exist at this point in time, so so no.
I mean, no. I'm sure he spoke to you about how to form this and how to move forward. And
no, that was before my time, and so that passed in February 26th of 1962, and then that set the kind of the foundation for the ability to create MTAC. And then, as you can see, a couple of years later is when MTAC was officially formed. So the official date is May 27th, 1965. Again, I did not exist then. And so the timing is interesting because we'll be like within a week of being right at that 50th anniversary mark with the National Postal Forum. So to give everyone a little bit of more background on what is MTAC, how does it work? MTAC is essentially a group of industry associations that come together to provide advice and information to the Postal Service, provide them feedback, and again, it's an advisory role. And the way MTAC works is they have three types of what I would refer to as working groups. And the first one is a user group, and a user group is an ongoing group that meets on a regular frequency. These user groups are open to anyone that wants to attend. So even if you are not officially a member of MTAC, if you are interested in the mailing industry and want to be a part of any of those user groups, you're welcome to do that. Actually, I would say one of the most popular user groups is referred to as user group number. They're all assigned numbers, so it's user group number 1, which is actually the Postal One user group. I know that has a rather large following because everyone's trying to stay on top of all the changes and everything that's going on associated with Postal One. So there are a series of different users groups. Right now, MTAC is up to 9 different user groups that exist. And again, they're ongoing. They really don't have a specific end date, and each one of them has slightly different frequencies. Some meet weekly, some meet once a month. It all kind of depends on what's going on there. The next type of working group is actually referred to as work groups. And work groups come together to work a specific task. And so they're essentially assigned a specific issue that they are supposed to work through to completion. Part of the deliverable at the end is a set of recommendations, and work groups are always constrained by a time frame. These are things that work groups do not continue on indefinitely. They are given a specific task and a time frame to complete it in. So you'll see work groups come and go over time. And so I believe right now we're nearing work group, 171, 172, I think.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
So you can see the number that have occurred over history. But there are several a year that end up getting created. And usually they're specific to working around specific issues. There was a work group that was created around the hub facilities that I talked about earlier. There's probably the longest running work group that we have that is still active right now is actually one around seamless acceptance. And so that one is going to be sunsetting soon, but now there's also even discussion about kind of transitioning that from a work group into a user group, because as seamless goes live, there's still going to be a lot of industry postal discussions that need to take place. And then the final type of working group is a task team. And the task team is specifically identified, the members are specifically identified by MTAC leadership. And again, they're given a very specific task, a very specific issue. Task teams are, I would say, more aggressive than working groups. The expectation is it's a very critical issue that needs to be addressed in a very short time frame. The members are not, you can't volunteer for a task team. You are asked to join. And again, they are given a specific task to complete and also issue a set of recommendations at the end when they are complete. So that is kind of the nuts and bolts of how MTAC works and provides useful information to the Postal Service, and also then the Postal Service uses the industry or MTAC as a sounding board when they're looking to make changes and get reaction to those.
So we do have questions coming in. I want to encourage folks to put questions into the question box on the right-hand side, but one that just popped up, I wanted to ask, the question is whether or not there are other people like you who have been with MTAC since the beginning.
That's a great question. I know there's I believe a video that they're going to play at the NPF of, it's with, I believe, Bill Hoyt, who has been with MTAC since the beginning, and and is still going. And they actually went out to his house and interviewed him and kind of talked about everything about the early days of MTAC. And so I would say it's a very small group that is left that would still remember kind of the founding of MTAC.
You not included.
Me not included. Again, like I said, I still did not exist at that point in time when MTAC was officially started.
Thanks for letting me interrupt with that. If there's other questions, put them into the question box here. We'll be coming to the question and answer section in just a moment.
All right. And then the last thing I wanted to call out as far as MTAC goes, for anyone that is interested in learning more about MTAC, MTAC will have a booth out at the National Postal Forum in the exhibit hall area. You'll find them. There's actually going to be a group of different of several booths for different industry associations, all located together in a similar area, and it's labeled as booth 643. But over there, you'll see a number of different industry associations that will have booths set up over there. MTAC being one, and so if you are looking for more information about MTAC, would be interested in potentially joining MTAC, you're more than welcome to go over there. There will be MTAC leaders that will be staffing that booth. They'll have different people at different points in time covering it. So please stop by and find out more about it if it's of interest to you.
Great. Thanks, Bob. So just to kind of wrap everything up here, we're really happy that we're going to be presenting and participating in NPF this year. We've been a proud sponsor of NPF for several years now, and it's really one of the key congregations of people in the mailing industry, and it's really a very good chance for you to get some additional knowledge, pump up your brain to get ready for that fall mailing season, get all of the information about the new preparations and all the latest technology and services that are available. We are going to have everybody available in the Satori Software booth, so come visit us in the exhibit hall. We'll be able to answer any questions that you have about our products or services, and hopefully show you some new things that you could do with them. And we really hope to see you there. If you are in the area, pop in, and if you want to just come into the exhibit hall, we may be able to set you up with a pass to get in there, and then maybe you can come see us, or if you want to stop in.
In fact, those passes are up on our website.
Oh, great.
Yeah, if you go back and take a look at the webinar after we post it this afternoon, there's a link on that page that takes you where you can get a floor pass, a day pass.
Yeah. So it's a really good, especially if you're in the California area. Of course, this will all be down in Anaheim there. If you're down in that area and you have the ability to stop in, feel free to stop in and say hi, and we'd love to see you there.
Questions. Let's take a look at what we got. All right, so the first one comes in, and you mentioned Anaheim, right next door to, there's that big mouse that lives right down the street from where you're going to be. And the question is related to that mouse. At NPF, do you have enough time to see everything, or do you need several days like you would to visit that mouse's house?
It's going to be really busy. So when we talked about the workshops, there are actually 18 different periods, and in each period for the workshop, there's going to be several workshops that are going to be available. It used to be that they would repeat workshops throughout the week, and if you missed it one time, you could catch it another time. Now there are so many topics and so many different areas to explore. There are very few that are actually going to be repeated, and they crammed a bunch of different workshops I think it's almost over 150 different workshops that are going to be available in just these 18 periods. So it'd be really good to, if you have the availability, go to npf.org. There's a event planner there, and you can scroll through all of the different workshops that are available. You can actually set up what your timeline is going to be, but there's so much to cover. There's so many different things to see that unfortunately you won't be able to see everything, even if you do stretch it out for the entire length of the whole session. But
so one thing to note there, though, is if there is 2 sessions going on at the same time that you really, really want to see both of them, there is an option where you can actually go and purchase a recording of the one session that you do not attend. And so if you're out there and looking around, there is usually a spot where you can go up and order any of the sessions that you would like to get a recording of, because all of those educational ones are recorded, and that is one option to help give you the coverage you would like to have. Is the ones that you're not able to make, go and purchase them, bring them home, and you can listen to them offline.
Yeah, there are a couple other options.
Let's see the mouse do that.
Yeah, there are a couple other things you can do as well. Another thing that I would advise is come with a friend. And so have somebody who maybe is a coworker or another friend that you have in the industry, and divide and conquer. So if you have 2 sessions and they're at the same time, have one go to one session, you go to the other. You can pick up the presentations. They usually have a few printouts that are available, and then that way you can take notes and swap stories at the end there.
That way they can see both yours and Corey's presentations that happen at the same time.
Unfortunately, there are very, very few ways that can happen, but that would be one good way to do that.
And one thing to call out, and for those of you that may be attending NPF for the first time or even attended a couple times now, as we talked about earlier, Sunday used to be a kind of I would say a little bit slower day, so a lot of people would plan their travel to come in on, arrive sometime on Sunday, maybe pick up a session or 2 in the afternoon, but then really didn't get rolling until Monday. That's really completely changed. I would say, from this point forward, obviously it's too late to change your travel plans now, but looking ahead, Sunday is jam-packed, and so I think it's going to become more and more common for people to be coming in on Saturday so they can hit the ground running on Sunday, because as is noted, 9 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, everyone's going. There's a lot of great things taking place there.
Sunday is the new Monday.
Apparently, yes.
When you purchase the recordings, the question is, if you purchase the recording, do you get credit?
I do not believe you do. No.
So that doesn't count to your platinum certification. That's not how you.
Not.
That's not how you racked up yours, Kim.
No.
You were actually there in person.
Yep.
NPF moves around. Anaheim this time. How does that decision get made? And will there ever be NPF in Houston, Texas?
It could happen. Typically, the pattern that the Postal Service has gotten into is 1 year they'll have it in the DC area, and then the next year it'll be somewhere else. This is one of the somewhere else years, and so we're in Anaheim. I suspect next year we'll be back in DC. The year after we'll be somewhere else. I think if we go back, so Anaheim this year. Last time we were outside of DC was that Nashville?
I think that was Nashville, yeah.
Okay, so then there's Nashville. So, Houston is a big area, so I would say it's definitely a possibility that it could make it over there at some point in time, but I would say unlikely next year.
What not to see? Is there anything that from past experience you can say, well, that really didn't work for me?
It really depends on what your intents and what your needs are. So obviously if you're not a marketing person, then you can probably skip all the marketing track, right? Sorry,
Hey.
Rob. But it
Try
really
not to take that personally.
there's a lot to see, and really all of it can be valuable if you put the intent into it to make it valuable. You get as much out of NPF as you put the energy into going to it. So bring your notepad, bring your laptop, take notes, pay attention, and even just walking the floor or walking the halls in between sessions, you can learn some really valuable insights. So it's all about your intent going into the sessions and going into the NPF. If you go in with the intent that you're going to get all the knowledge that you can possibly get out of this event, you're going to have a really powerful experience there. And I know the first time I went, I came home with my my whole brain just swimming, because there was so much information that I'd learned there. And I think anybody can have that experience, even if you've been several times, because there's so much more that's new to learn.
A user or a listener here has commented. His comment is that he believes it may have already been announced for 2016 in Nashville.
All right.
That could be true, because they usually do make it, announce. They are a couple of years ahead of time as far as where they're going to be. So I guess I've been too busy focused on this next week to look ahead beyond that. So, but yeah, that could very well be the case.
Meeting folks, Satori folks. There's a rumor going around that Bob will be wearing a squirrel suit and delivering mail out of a mail bag. I heard that one in a meeting not long ago. Did that fall through?
That will not be happening. No, I can guarantee that.
For Bob, okay. Will you be available? Are you going to be in and out of the booth? Can folks find you while you're there? How will they know who you are? Red carnation in the lapel, or
So the Satori booth is going to be the central location to find any of us here. If you're looking for an account manager or a technology expert or Bob or I or Corey, feel free to stop into the booth. And if we're not there, which we'll be popping in and out and going to sessions and kind of going all over the place as much as we can. If we're not at the booth at the time, just let any of the other Satori staff know, and we can schedule a time. We all have phones now, so we'll be texting each other, hey, come down, or whatever. And so,
you guys are texting each other right now, and you're sitting 3 feet apart.
It's the technology age that we're in now. But so feel free to stop by the booth, and if we're not there, then we can find a time that we will be.
Or you can always hunt us down after one of our sessions. And
yep.
We'll definitely be there.
Yeah. I don't get to go. I am not pretty enough for them to put me out in public. I sit in this darkened room for most of my day. Another listener just sent me the schedule. So we're my own postal experts here. Didn't have the schedule. I'm going to be the first to bring you guys up to speed. According to this listener, he says 2015, Anaheim, California. 2016, Nashville, Tennessee.
So we're going back to Nashville.
2017, Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, so DC area. Yeah.
And 2018, San Antonio, Texas.
Close to Houston, but not quite.
Yeah, San Antonio. That's not a bad commute.
No, the Riverwalk is beautiful down there.
Yeah.
So it was one thing that's kind of interesting. So, we're going back to Nashville, but the previous one, I believe it was like within a week after NPF was done was when they had the huge flood where the whole Gaylord was just like under feet and feet of water. It was crazy.
So that came from Ken. Want to shout out to Ken. Thank you very much for the schedule there, Ken.
Great
for bringing
info.
us up to speed. So when walking on the floor at NPF, sometimes there are booths that are catch your eye more than others, and those aren't necessarily the ones that have the information in them. Talk to me a little bit about hidden gems, the sort of thing where you walk along and you find a booth that may not be the flashiest one. It may not have the ones with the neon clowns dancing out front of the booth. However, there are going to be things to learn. You talked about being excited coming back from NPF. How do you differentiate between those who are simply trying to catch your eye and the booths that actually have substance in them?
Well, again, it kind of goes back to that intention. What are your intentions for getting into NPF, and what do you want to get out of it? And so what you'll want to look for is you want to look for those companies that have information readily available, that they're educating without having to sell every opportunity, and that that everything they're doing is really focused on improving your business and improving your job. And so really taking that focus of the value that you're getting just by visiting their booth to begin with. I mean, sometimes it's nice to get a nice pair of headphones or something like that, but is that also something that's coming with some knowledge that you can take back to your company and really improve your processes there?
Thoughts from you, Bob? How do I separate the wheat from the chaff? I can't see everything. We talked about that. Right, it's too big. Right. I want to see the stuff that I am actually going to value. I don't necessarily want to be lured in by neon clowns dancing in the aisles.
Right. True. And so, well, the one comment I was going to make too is probably one of the areas that would probably help add some of the most value for you is probably one of the most, I'll say it, unflashy areas of the exhibit hall, and that is the consultation area of the Postal Service. I mean, they've got, they bring in their experts, and they're there and available. You can show up, you can schedule an appointment with them. If there's any questions you have or any problems you're having with, the mailings that you're doing or any of the programs that are going on, you can stop by there, let them know what's the topic that you need to discuss. They can set up an appointment. They've got all kinds of people available that you'll be able to sit down with them and get a lot of great information. I know I use that a lot, when as I'm trying to get a lot of stuff nailed down, a lot of questions that we end up getting from our customers. If there's outstanding questions, I'm over there several times during the show saying, hey, I got a question for you. And they're always spot on with the answers.
Perfect. Now, I mentioned that we're going to be doing live phone-ins from the show down there. I'm going to be back here in the studio, and you, amongst other Satori employees, are going to be bringing me status. We're going to try to talk Kim into phoning in periodically to talk a little bit about how presentations went and what's got her excited right now. And if it turns out there is a particular hidden gem there on the floor, we're going to try to direct people in real time. We have really stepped up the multimedia performance here at Satori. If you visit the blog, Bob has his own show, Postal Affairs with Bob Schimek, and that's a regular Monday briefing. So tune in. Check this stuff out. For those of us who are not going to NPF, who we can't physically be there, that's going to be the next best thing. There's going to be a lot of updates going on. There's going to be a lot of discussion of what to see and major announcements, maybe photos of Bob in his squirrel suit, whatever it is we can talk him into. If that happens, Kim, get a photo for me, okay? I know he's very camera shy, but see if you can get that for me.
I'll see what I can do.
So I do want to thank both of you for attending, Bob and Kim. Really a great webinar full of stuff here for us to take a look at. I'm actually a little jealous. I feel like missing NPF was probably not the greatest move I've ever made.
There's always next year.
Always next year. And where is it next year, Bob?
Nashville.
That's good.
All right, good. All right,
we've narrowed that down. So for everybody who tuned in today, thank you for joining us. Please take a moment to complete the brief survey that you're going to be offered at the end of this presentation. That is how we move forward and how we improve our webinars. As I mentioned, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on the SatoriSoftware.com website. I'm the one who posts that up there. Should be sometime early this afternoon. I want to thank Bob Schimek, Senior Director of Postal Affairs for Satori Software. Thank you for coming by, even if you didn't wear the squirrel suit.
Yeah, thanks.
Kim Mauch, Senior Product Manager. Always a pleasure to have you in the studio. Thank you for coming by.
Thanks, Rob.
It was a great presentation. Thanks. Lots to think about. I'm now very, very jealous. And for Satori Software, I'm Rob Perrin, the Director of Multimedia Marketing. Once again, thank you for attending this webinar. And on behalf of all of us at Satori, I would like to wish you smooth mailing ahead.